Guys, I've just thought of a new idea. Player screens. What? What's wrong with that? I mean, it's not like the players are going to cheat behind the screen. I mean, the GM doesn't do that. Right?
Hey everyone, welcome to Dungeon Bits, and today, we're talking about a topic that branches across all manner of games that involve dice or whatever result randomizer you have. I don't know, cards. However, we'll just call it fudging dice rolls. Let's not needlessly complicate things. Fudging dice rolls, in brief, is rolling the dice where others can't see, whether that's behind a GM screen or when you're playing online, and saying that you got a different result than what you actually rolled. I rolled, got a 4, but actually, I say I got an 18 or whatever. And you might hear this and immediately say, it's just cheating. It's bad. It's evil! But let's talk about why it's bad and good, rather than why it's either good or bad. Does that make sense? So, why would you ever fudge rolls? Well, if you've ever run before, then you've probably encountered a situation where the encounter you've set up in whatever game you're playing ends up being too easy. You plan for this balanced or challenging encounter, but the dice think otherwise. Or, the other side of this, you thought this encounter was going to be a breeze, but you can't stop rolling critical successes. You've not missed once, or your damage is just crazy high. Well, then you may have been tempted, or even went ahead and actually fudged a dice roll to make the encounter suitably easier or harder. But of course, there's another layer to this. This is all on the assumption that the game you're running is a game you've played for ages, like D&D, but let's say that you break the misery cycle and play a different game, but you're not 100% sure on how the system works. Like, just as an example, let's say that you play Pathfinder, but you're used to the math of D&D. Then in the first encounter, you completely destroy your players because you thought the monsters would be super easy. In that instance, I can see, and I'm sure that you can see, why someone running the combat would panic and think, I need to start missing, otherwise they're all going to die. Campaign or one shot, over. However, the benefit of this doesn't just lie in fixing mistakes. You may not want your players to be doomed to fail due to bad dice, and you would rather that their downfall was a result of their own choices. Or, you fudge the dice in the desire to curate the gameplay. You attempt to make the game more fun, challenging, tense, or cinematic, because, without sounding like a psychopath, because people have mixed feelings about this viewpoint, but without the chance of failure, without challenge, there is no tension and no chance to hook the player to want to keep playing or care about the game being played. So, you may want to curate the content so the given situation doesn't end up being too easy or too hard, or just isn't grand enough as intended. If you're someone who cares about this story, you'll see how easy it is for the dice to completely destroy any tension that you've built. So why not say that you actually rolled a 20? To keep things epic. But of course, there is no right answer to this, because I for one think it's fine to curate the experience of playing to a certain degree. Like, if you run a game that's an emergent storytelling experience, then it can suck if your players fail and feel bad over something that you made up moments ago and just miscalculated. But on the other side, and this covers most of the reasons why people say fudging dice is bad, is that it's a game. The game is fueled by dice or cards or whatever the game uses, and if you just choose what result the randomizer gives you, then it's not random. That means there's no point in bringing out the dice. You may as well just sit around and just play pretend and choose whatever result you get, tension and failure free. In this game of dice, as soon as you decide to ignore the dice, some would say that you essentially become a tyrant who will only accept your vision of play, which only you decide is the best outcome. And you really could just go back and forth on this topic forever, because both sides are completely sound. I think it's fine to cover your mistakes, but I also think that it makes one party, the GM mostly, is just choosing what happens while everyone else is at the mercy of the dice. And you think all this fudging of dice, and you probably think combat, but I think that fudging dice can be much worse when it's brought outside of combat into usual roleplay scenarios. Like, here's a worst case scenario. The players try to mislead a pirate captain to try and get them to pilot their ship right into a fleet of lawmen after they've put on disguises and infiltrated the space pirates. But the game master doesn't want their super cool pirates to be defeated, and more importantly, look lame, so they just roll, say they got a really high insight check, and see through the party's disguise and their lie. Fudging dice can be a nightmare for players who think up great plans, roll well, are smart, or just have a bunch of fun with their shenanigans, when the GM has a god complex and can't bear to see the story go a certain way or their NPC look bad, so they just lie. The problem I think is worse than the apparent moral failing people see with this is the tendency to use fudging dice rolls to essentially protect their precious plots or characters at the expense of the enjoyment of the players. Because that isn't mending and fixing the experience for the players, that's just GM versus player behaviour, and this can doubly suck if the GM is determined to railroad the players into going a certain way. So they just use fudge rolls to scare the players into taking one particular route, ignoring the dice and choosing, but taking away the choice from the players. And you might say that that scenario is quite hyperbolic. Well, my sweet summer child, it's not that uncommon. So, fudging dice rolls, good or bad? Well, for me, I think that like all tools that we've grown to adopt and consider in the hobby, this is just another optional one that can be used for good. And that really is the only objective thing. Fudging dice rolls isn't a systematic evil or anything. It's a tool that could be misused to take away choice, cheapen the experience of playing, or allow bad GMs to battle their players. However, fudging dice can be used for good. It can be used little and not often to simply cover mistakes that would end in a result that would not be fun for a player, or you can use it to curate the experience of playing. Because that's a thing to consider. When you GM, you can know the rules inside and out, but every time you present something to the players, it may be the first time you're testing something out. No two experiences, no matter how similar in mechanics, can be the same. So, riding the line between disaster and fun is hard to pull off naturally. So regardless of whether you fudge dice or not, or whether we argue about it being good or bad, we can all agree that it's possible to use or not use this tool and still be a butthole. So yeah, simply put, use it or not, don't use your GMing power or the dice behind the screen for evil. Also, I don't know if you can tell from me or my voice or whatever, but I'm sick, which is fun because it means that I've done about an hour of recording and the video is probably going to be like 10 minutes or less because I'm going to have to edit out all the bad takes, and they were terrible because my voice has been horrendous. But on a more positive note, I got my copy of Tome of Maps and the other half is in there, and it's really cool. I've looked through, the maps are fantastic, and also in the link in the description you'll find the link to go to the Kickstarter because you can still back it right now even though it's fully funded. Congratulations, Snowy's Maps, but I absolutely urge you to go support the Kickstarter because this book is fantastic. There's so many maps, and there's way more maps than you would normally get on like other products that give you map books. Absolutely fantastic. Go support the Kickstarter and keep watching to the end of the video because yay. Thank you for watching. I'm Ellis, and if you like this video, click the one on screen to see how you can recover from character death and make it fun if the dice go bad and you don't fudge them. I love you all, and I'll see you next Saturday.